Hi, I'm Tamara, and this is TELUS Talks with Tamara Taggart. Hi, everyone. Today I am speaking with Tristan Jagger. Tristan is the founder of Vancouver Food Runners. You may have heard of Vancouver Food Runners before. It's been around for a couple of years. Tristan, I'm so happy to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So, I mentioned to you just a couple of minutes ago that I feel like I've heard Vancouver Food Runners many times before, but this is a new project.
Yeah, so our 2-year birthday will kind of be coming up in the middle of March of 2022. But yeah, we've been so lucky. The community has really rallied behind us. So we've had a lot of people talking about Vancouver Food Runners over the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic. So maybe you've heard about us through.
It's either that or it feels like the last 2 years feel like 20 years. And I just feel like everything's familiar now.
Yeah.
So for somebody who doesn't know what Vancouver Food Runners is, can you explain?
Yes, absolutely. So basically what Vancouver Food Runners is it's all powered by an app, the Vancouver Food Runners app. And what we do is we have about 150 food suppliers, and they contact us when they have surplus food. And then we have about 105 community partners, and we match the surplus food from a restaurant, a caterer, a wholesaler, a produce location with one of the community partners, and we post it to the Vancouver Food Runners app. And on that app, we have about 1,600 drivers, They're all volunteers. And they see where the food is located, like where there's surplus food and where it needs to go, and they just claim that rescue, and then they drive the food. So it's really a logistical tool to help our community partners and actually to save food from going into the waste stream.
Okay, it seems like this should have been around for the last 20 years. This makes so much sense to me because I'm assuming, nothing makes me more upset and mad than food waste in my own house. I see what I waste in my house. A family of 5, and you buy your food, and you know what it's like. You have kids, and you're making food, and people don't eat it, and all that sort of stuff. I cannot begin to imagine what happens in a grocery store or a produce store or a restaurant.
Yeah.
So how did you let's go back to how you came up with this idea.
Okay. So 40% of food in Canada is wasted. So to your point, I mean, it's just so much food that just goes into the landfill. But sort of how this all came about is kind of a random story. Was that I am a mom, same as you, but I have little kids, and I was volunteered for this hamper drive where basically you read about the family that you're packing the food for. So it's little kids, like little 6-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old, maybe a 1-year-old. And it just like really hit me. Like I was like, oh my gosh, we all live so close together in Vancouver. And this family that's so similar to my family has no food. I was like, this is so unfair. Like I really was just like, oh, and I couldn't shake it. Like I just couldn't shake that concept. And so what happened was, I started just doing research, like on my free time, just kind of reading about what other countries and other cities were doing about food waste. And I came across this woman in Pittsburgh who had created this app, the Food Rescue Hero app, that I eventually licensed from her. And I convinced her to meet me and just talk about it. And I had so I laughed now. Some of the questions she asked me, well, do you have a charity now? No. Do you have a charity number? No. Do you have funding? No. Do you have, all these things. And anyway, somehow I think she just saw the passion that I still have. You can probably see it in my eyes right now that she was like, okay, I'll take a chance on her. And she allowed me to license the app. So it's really the technology that makes this all so amazing because it takes away all the manpower you actually need, right? So we're moving almost 1 million pounds of food now. And we only have 3 people for staff. So it's incredible. I mean, obviously we have 1,600.
Yeah.
Feels like 1 million to me, but we have 1,600 people that check the app, and they're without the volunteers, this would just not work at all because they're the drivers. But really, the logistics side of things is really run by three people.
So this woman developed this app
Mhm.
and she's using it and now you're using this app in Vancouver.
So
So is it just Vancouver, Tristan, or like do other places in Canada do this yet?
no, so we're the first city in Canada to have this app, and she has it in different cities in the states. About 15 cities in the states. So Los Angeles now has it, Cincinnati, well, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So there's lots of different places that have it, but it's in the states. But we're the first ones in Vancouver, and obviously when I was looking into the apps, I really did my research to figure out if this was something that was unique, and it really is because it's really driven by the volunteers. And that's what I felt so fascinating about it and really, really, really wanted it here.
So was it hard to convince restaurants or it seems like, oh, this is a great idea, but then you have to actually do the work and you have to get the restaurants or the stores involved. How did that happen?
Yeah, so that actually was really hard at the beginning because so many restaurants and bakeries and caterers, they've been kind of burned by this idea so many times. So they'll work with a charity or community partner and they'll say, "Okay, at this time we'll have food." But then, these poor charity nonprofits, they don't have the capacity to go pick up the food on a whim. They don't have the staffing. They don't have it. So sometimes they just wouldn't show up, and then it was really like disheartening for those people that had put the surplus food aside and then they just had to toss it. So some people just kind of had given up, so that kind of thing. So yes, at the beginning it was super hard to convince people, but one thing did happen was right when we were about to launch, um, COVID-19 happened. So you might have heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I've heard of it. Yes.
And so all these restaurants and things were shutting down. And it just was the timing was that I had been speaking to them for 4 or 5 months before. And so as soon as they started thinking about closing, they started just texting me on my cell phone, like during that, just saying, "Hey, oh my gosh, did this ever happen? Are you still doing this? I have even like oysters, I remember crazy things coming through my phone." And I was like, "Oh man, should I just do this?" The app wasn't finished and all these things were happening. I was like, "You know what? We're just going to match it manually." So I started just literally taking scraps of paper in my house and being like, okay, this is crazy. Like Jam Cafe has all this stuff. I'm going to put it right here. And then I'm going to start calling the community partners. I would just match them. And then I started being like, okay, I was 7 months pregnant with my fourth baby, homeschooling.
Wow.
And I was like, I need help. So I started actually contacting like friends and people being like, "Anybody want to help here?" And so, they started kind of being like, "Yeah, let's do this." So another lady in our neighborhood started sending out the match. So like Jam Cafe to the YWCA, just to a handful of people through email. And then people started grabbing it, like volunteers. And so for the first 4 months of Vancouver Food Runners, it was just matched manually, and it got crazy because, as we all know, all these places were shutting down all the time, reopening, shutting down, and so we had tons and tons of calls, and that's kind of how we started our reputation because we had 100% success rate. We never let the food sit. Nobody missed a pickup.
What? Right.
Sharing that with their friends and their other people in the restaurant industry. And we just went from there. So kind of maybe the first year had, the last part of 2020, so the last 6 months of 2020, we probably had about 40 food suppliers, and now we have 161.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And this has been extremely difficult for restaurants, this
Yeah.
pandemic. And I know that right across Canada, it's been awful especially for, all restaurants
Yeah.
and, little small restaurants and the bigger chains. Everybody's really suffered.
Yeah.
And I know here in Vancouver, in BC, it's been open, close, open, close. We don't know. So I can see how it's been very stressful for the restaurants. And then they have this food that it's either going to go rotten
Mm-hmm.
or they're going to donate it.
Exactly. And we started to become quite trusted because we had all these community partners. And before we were going to launch the app, we had done a ton of research into these nonprofits to figure out what they could accept. Like, for example, some nonprofits can accept meat and dairy because they don't have a fridge. or a chef, but then some do. Like the YWCA has a whole kitchen there. They cook for everybody and do all these things so they can accept things. Whereas the Boys and Girls Clubs, they can only accept, packaged goods and things like that, or bread. And we had all that data. So then that became really important information for these food suppliers.
Yeah. Okay. So what about, like, how does food waste affect all of us in Canada?
Yeah. I mean, so 1 in 6 kids in Vancouver are food insecure. Think about that. Like, I can't get over that number. I still can't get over that number. And 1 in 9 people or families are food insecure. But that during the pandemic, that actually has dropped to 1 in 7. So you've probably seen that new number published. And we really, really saw that grow. Like, I remember getting calls I still do, from these nonprofits where they were handing out 100 hampers a week. And then during the pandemic, they're handing out 500. And they're just calling, like, where can we get the food? What can we do? And, all these things. And a lot of people shifted from what their main job or their main role was at their nonprofit. Let's say it was counseling or something. They shifted their entire employees to work on getting food for these people instead. And so that, places that never gave out snacks or never gave out lunches or whatever started to. And so, I mean, I think food insecurity in Vancouver is such a huge issue. It's become really brought to, forward in the last, 24 months. I think it's always been, but the more and more people are talking about it, I just feel like it's very obvious that it's huge. We all know Vancouver's so expensive.
Yeah, well, everywhere is so expensive now. Yeah, for sure. But the waste actually, I guess people might think, oh, well, if food goes rotten, it's okay. It just goes into the landfill and becomes compost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that, then you think about the methane gas emissions from that and all these things, right? So if there's a way to redirect it, and if it's not bad, and then obviously it's just such a win-win. But I do, so many people have told us, and especially, like bakeries and things where it has to be fresh the next day, right? So what happens to all that baked goods and all those breads? Like, that stuff needs to be picked up and taken it somewhere. But that was such a broken method for so long, not just in Vancouver, all over the place, where that's a logistical nightmare. How do you get it from A to B?
Mm-hmm. And then I guess there's also the, yes, there's waste. Mm-hmm. We have waste from food. We have, people going hungry. And then that has lasting effects. Food insecurity it has long-lasting health effects on a person also.
Absolutely. And that has a huge issue, especially when people are eating, things that cost less money, like fast food and things like that. Of course, that has such a issue. We all know that health issues. And the one thing that's very cool about the Vancouver Food Runners app and this organization is that we often get calls. Mostly, I'd say 85% of our food is fresh. It's healthy food. It's dairy, protein, veggies, and fruit that need to be transported quickly and getting it into the hands of people that need it quickly. Right? There's no plate. Ours goes from A to B. There's no middleman. There's no one it doesn't sit in a warehouse. It doesn't sit anywhere. It just goes. It's like going to the grocery store and then taking it directly to your house. And that is what's so cool about this, is because it's all healthy. A lot, and I'll say 80% of it is healthy food. We do a Lee's Donuts run, which I love. We do drop that. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of it is healthy.
I never considered that there would be Lee's Donuts left over. I never considered that, of course. And yeah, because when we do donate to a food bank, you have to donate non-perishable items, because they do get, they go through a system and then get to the families they need to get to. And so this really was a big, huge gap in the system where we had all this fresh food in restaurants or, grocery stores too, Tristan?
Grocery stores, the interesting part, and to say the difference kind of with the food bank, is that they're filling up these huge trucks of food, right? Like huge, huge trucks. And our model, and there's nobody else doing it in Vancouver, is that we don't need to be called to pick up a ton of 1 ton or something like that. Our limit is small, 2 boxes, because it's a volunteer. that's putting their car, right? Like their little hatchback, whatever it might be. And they just need to pick up a bit, right? Which I think in the past, a lot of smaller food suppliers and stuff, they just didn't bother because they're thinking, well, who would come and pick that up and take it? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. Like, it's just one box of food. We'll just compost this.
Yeah.
When it's perfectly good food and there is a family that can use that perfectly good box of food.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant actually, and it makes sense. And this is why I think it's been around for 20 years, but it's only been around for 2 years. Yeah. Tristan, one of the things we like to do on this podcast is ask our guests to choose a nonprofit in Canada, and we give $500 in your name to the nonprofit organization that you choose. This is shocking. You chose Vancouver Food Runners. And so you should. And I just want to let you know that we will be donating or giving $500 in your name to them for spending time with us. So we appreciate your time to explain this to us.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the future of Vancouver Food Runners. So, I mean, this came about because you saw that there was a need for this, and it really became apparent during the pandemic. Is this something that will go away after the pandemic, or is this something that will continue and you'd like to see it even move into other provinces and cities?
Yeah, absolutely. No, this won't go away after the pandemic. I think it's going to get worse for a while before it gets better. I think the awareness of food waste and food insecurity is just becoming stronger and stronger. And I believe that Vancouver Food Runners wants people, others here, it just takes time for word of mouth to get around about us. But I think, we'll get busier and busier and busier. More restaurants and caterers and food suppliers and wholesalers that find out that there's somebody that will do this for free, pick up your surplus food and take it to people that need it. It just grows every day. Every day I see that, 5 new volunteers sign on to our app and new food suppliers reaching out to me all the time. For our goal, our big goal was to hit 1 million pounds. And I think we're going to hit that in about 2 weeks, which we're super excited about. I know. And then,
wow.
I think we'd like to slowly move outside of Vancouver and into some of the other places that need it, like Burnaby and Richmond and Surrey, North Vancouver. We just wanted to get really good at what we were doing in Vancouver before we expanded it out. But all these places need help. Surrey.
And right across the country, Tristan. This is not a Vancouver problem by any means, is it?
No, it really isn't. It's everywhere. And so, yes, of course, grow into the provinces. Maybe they'll find somebody, like our team in those provinces that they can license the app from. It's just, I think it's really neat to see. I really think that it's amazing to see how the community came together in a year and a half, really, because this is the only way that this worked, was just people doing it. And that's what makes it so cool.
Okay, so explain to me, if somebody's listening and they think, well, I can volunteer and do this. I can help get food somewhere. Explain how someone does that and what that would be like through the eyes of a volunteer using your app.
So what they would do is after they stop listening to you and I, onto their phone.
Yes.
And they would download the app, Vancouver Food Runners app. Okay. You ask very simple information, your phone number, your name, that kind of thing. And then you can go on and right away you can see what food is available in Vancouver today, tomorrow. So usually we do it about 24 hours in advance, unless something comes on sporadically. And you can just see where it's going right there. You just open the app, you click on the little icons. There's a big map of Vancouver. You click and you can see exactly where the food is and where it needs to go, how long it will take you, how many boxes it is, how heavy it is. So it gives you all the information. So let's say you don't want to carry a big load, then you wouldn't accept that one. If you were on a bicycle, you wouldn't accept one with 7 boxes or something. So that's that. You just take it, you go. And then it comes up and it gives you a notification a little bit before your food run. And you look at it and you just hit it and it gives you directions on how to get there. It gives you the name of the people that you need to contact, the phone number. The charities or the nonprofits that we work with are expecting it, so they know. We have COVID rules in place where you have to leave the food outside. You call and just say, it's there. And you can either claim a food rescue whenever, just like, let's say you and I, after this, we're like, oh, let's just see what's available on that. You and I could do that. But you could also become a weekly volunteer, which we have over 75 weekly volunteers, where every Tuesday at 10 a.m., they know they're going to Terra Breads and they're taking that to Covenant House.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can decide what kind of volunteer you want to be. And if you're away and you're a weekly volunteer, you can just throw it back up into the app, which is amazing. And then you never have to worry about finding a substitute. It always gets reclaimed.
So you are, I mean, I can see you, so I can see the passion in your face when you're talking about this, and I can hear it in your voice. Did you expect that this would be your, I mean, you have 4 kids, yeah. busy person. Did you expect that this would be your passion? Like, did this just come out of?
So
are you surprised by this?
Yeah, I question myself a lot, like we all do, late at night when you can't sleep, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? Like, why would I, I didn't have any extra hours in the day. I was so busy with these 3 little kids and pregnant at the time. But then something just kept like pushing me, like, no, you have to do it. And some people started like really believing in the concept, big people like City of Vancouver, United Way, things like that, where you're like, oh, okay, no, I think this is actually going to work, and no, I never thought I would just, start something like this, but I have always been kind of in the nonprofit world. So I was at Canuck Place Children's Hospital for 5 years. I was at United Way working there for many years, Big Brother. So it's always been I've always been in the nonprofit world, but I didn't know I don't know.
You didn't know that you would end up here, but isn't that great?
Yeah,
that you found this, or it found you somehow, I guess. Like, it's pretty amazing. When you think about the future, and you think about the future of Vancouver Food Runners, mm-hmm. Where do you dream? Where do you, like, do you have those dreams or goals, or are you just so in it right now because it's still so new and it's so needed right now that you're not able to sort of dream out?
I think now I'm starting to be able to catch a breath and sort of dream. I have an amazing team. I have an executive director now that she's incredible, and a manager now, and a logistics coordinator. So I actually now feel like I can breathe, and we've got some funding in place so we can keep going, really to help basically to stop food insecurity in Vancouver. Like, let's solve it. Like, let's figure this out. Why can't we? We can get this far if there's more people that can help us, more volunteers, more food suppliers, more, we know there's the need out there. So if there's any way that this app could help solve food insecurity, that is my dream, of course.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
Nice.
It's incredible because I'll just say, Tristan, a lot of people, a lot of us dream, and it's hard to actually put that dream into motion sometimes because we are all so busy. We're all so worried. We're also, many things. Mm-hmm. So to talk to you, and it's really inspiring to know that, okay, here's a woman who, like, it just happened. She made it happen. And it wasn't easy, and she did it. And so it's inspiring for a lot of us to hear the passion that you have, and what a cause. Yes, we need to stop this.
Yeah, we do. And we can.
Really and we can. Exactly. Okay, so your website is vancouverfoodrunners.com.
Yeah.
All the information's on there. Of course, the app, Vancouver Food Runners.
Yeah.
And you can also follow Tristan on Instagram, and it is Vancouver_food_runners. Tristan, you are a delight. Thank you so much for telling us all about this. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you helping me spread the story, and, more people will find out about it this way.
Thanks for listening to another episode of TELUS Talks with Tamara Taggart. Be sure to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for another conversation. You can also check out our website, telus.com/podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at TELUS Talks.